Welcome to the So Social Radio Show. I'm your host, Richard Martin, along with my amazing co-host,
Cheri-Martin, and we are the WCN Interactive Team, business growth, marketing, and social media strategists, helping you to
dream it, plan it, build it, and most importantly, successfully do it.
For growth, prosperity, and success. And each Wednesday at 12 noon on TalkNetworkRadio.com, we share tips and techniques to grow you and your business, plus demystify social media and marketing for you so that you can have more fun.
And my favorite, more profits.
And you know, Richard, our topic today is really going to share with our audience how to really make sure they are making more profits through relationship networking.
Absolutely so. I mean, that's a whole key of it right there. You know, if you can't connect, it's over. Mm-hmm. Just go home and go to bed on that. You know, sleep it off. But you know, the relationship networking it's two peas in the same pod. You got to have a relationship and you got to have the networking. And it's just a continual circle of evolutionary growth as you evolve with the people that you connect with.
I know it. And, you know, it's been that way forever. However, I know in business, a lot of times we're more focused on that dollar than we are on the aspect of making a friend in building that relationship and having a conversation. And it is a whole new way to think of sales and not expect that, or sales, I should say, and not expect that instant gratification of just going out and you know, promoting yourself and then closing the deal and in. You know, it's really understanding who you're talking with and how you can really help each other, which is then ultimately going to help both of you.
You know, we have a process that we talk about here, and it's a lot of it is about unselling. Mm-hmm. You know, most people, and I include myself at the top of this list, okay, you know, I hate to be sold to, but I love to buy things. You know, we went out to breakfast this morning, you know, and all these type of things. So it's neat from that particular standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did. We went and we were actually at a networking event this morning at one of our local chambers. And then from there, we met an individual that we had met at another Chamber of Commerce event. And we had a one-on-one together. And we just had a conversation and just had fun with each other and realized just neither one of us asked each other for business.
No, first of all, it wasn't the time or the place to do it. Mm-hmm. You know, the relationship has to come first. You know, if we're going to get into this deeper, but we'll steal Bob Berg's quote. People do business with the people they know, like, and most importantly, trust. And that's where the whole thing stems from.
You've got that right. And before we do really get diving deep into our discussions, we want to share with our audience some two books that we just highly recommend for understanding networking here. And we'll be talking a lot more about networking tips and all that fun stuff. But I do want to make sure that we invite our audience to always connect with us so they can learn to know, like, and trust us on Facebook at So Social Radio Show. And, you know, give us that like and let us know what topics that you'd like to hear and us have a conversation on. We're all about education, and we want to make sure we bring you what you want to learn so that, you know, we are resonating with our audience. What is it that you want to hear from us here on the So Social Radio Show? But before we do that, we want to do a shout out to our So Social Radio Show sponsors and partners.
Absolutely. This is one of my favorite tasks to do on this show. First of all, Toastmasters, a world leader in communications and leadership development. Find out how you can improve your speaking and leadership skills. Visit toastmastersd84.org.
And Constant Contact is another one of our partners, an award-winning company empowering small businesses and nonprofits to grow and succeed through email marketing. You can be a marketer with one toolkit, one login with Constant Contact. So try a free trial account with them. I mean, just try it. There's nothing to lose. They have no contracts. No credit cards when you try their 60-day free trial, and you can actually get started growing your marketing list. But I do want to refer you to a special link so that I can assist you in getting started. Go to bit.ly, bit.ly/WCN free CTCT, and sign up there. Again, there's just no risk at all, but you'll be able to try it and see how it can work for your small business.
Absolutely so. Also, everythingbrevard.com, a Brevard County, Florida community website that keeps you up to date on everything that's happening in Brevard, and get your business listed on everythingbrevard.com.
And our newest partner is Shannon Grunich, who is the visionary of the Business Acceleration Summit, which is going on right now this week, started last evening with their dinner and all day today here in Melbourne, Florida at the Hilton Rialto. But it is the 9th Business Acceleration Summit. And also they have a special day on tomorrow, Thursday, for masterminding with some of the mentors and everything. So it's a great summit. You can actually get more information on the Business Acceleration Summit at the website, which is businessaccelerationsummit.com. Find out when the next one is. I do believe there's going to be a cruise in September. So you'll want to make sure you connect there with Shannon at the businessaccelerationsummit.com to find out how you can get involved in the next summit that she has going, especially if you like to cruise.
That sounds like a good one for me.
All righty. So I wanted to actually just share a quote from one of my very favorite authors, and I have a bunch of his little books, and that is Jeffrey Gitomer. And this book that I'm going to give this quote out is his little black book of connections. And it's 6.5 assets for networking your way to rich relationships. Before I mention this quote here with our audience, I just want to make a mention that this book was actually written and published back in 2006. And it's one of his, he has a number of books. I think the Little Red Book of Sales was the very first one we purchased.
Yep.
And really has some great stuff. But I will say, Jeffrey Gitomer, and that's Gitomer. You can go to jeffreygitomer.com to get more information about him. But he's a thought leader, definitely way before his time. When I read this book back again, when I was a Business Network International BNI director, when I was teaching networking classes, I was actually introduced to this book here. And everything, I mean, I read this book all the time. I have marks in it. I have, tabs folded, everything. But his quote that he has in the very beginning of the book is going to be really leading into what we're going to focus on today. Because, again, this was way before we even really started networking online. It was more of the face-to-face networking. He goes, everyone wants to be rich, although most people think being rich is about having money. Rich is a description for everything but money. Rich relationships lead to much more than money. They lead to success, fulfillment, and wealth. And again, it's all about relationship marketing and networking.
It is. The whole thing is about it. The whole world revolves around relationships.
No doubt. I mean, well, think about, couples, before you get married, you have to build a relationship. You have to get to know, like, and trust each other.
At least, yes.
So why not take that whole premise into business? When we first started our business in 98, And and I worked for companies prior to that. I did, customer service and networking, etc. I know that you have been in corporate the 1,000 companies, 500 companies, all those. But everything that you did was building relationships. You just didn't go in and say, okay, buy me, and then sign on the dotted line. You had to have some type of a process. What did you do back in, should we say the dates, back in the 70s and the
back
80s,
in the 70s,
and the 80s?
My most, the three main jobs I had back then, the primary job for all this was working with Jimmy Dean Meat Company, which unfortunately Jimmy's not here anymore, and neither is Jimmy Dean Meat Company. They sold it off. But the whole thing was, I started out as where my education was coming out of Mizzou as a food chemist. That's what my background was. And I started analyzing all the food products that went out for fat, bacteria, all this other stuff. Because Jimmy's process back then was there were no antibiotics or other chemicals that were in there to preserve the shelf life. And Jimmy demanded a 60-day shelf life from pure products. So you can imagine how clean things had to be. So when you look at that, that's not something any one individual can do to clean a whole production plant, much less with all the oils and greases and that type of stuff that would come out of hogs and that type of thing. But, the whole process was I had to learn to rely on other people. And that was really the first time in my business career that I really had to delegate. So I started out as a laboratory guy and ended up as plant manager. I got to that because of people knowing, liking, and trusting what I had to say on that. So the whole premise of The Go-Giver and the whole premise of Jeff Gitomer's book is how can you be liked and respected? And The Go-Giver is a book by Bob Burg. And both of these books, we highly recommend that every business person, every marketing person, every salesperson reads these two books. They keep them in their library. I know we have quite an extensive library in our home. And these are two books that most often are not found on the bookshelf. They're on our desk because we keep referring to them. But The Go-Giver is just a fun book that Bob Burg and his John David Mann. Yeah, John David Mann. They wrote together, and then they have their part 2 of The Go-Giver Sales More as well. So these are books that really show you the value of the conversation, of just really being comfortable talking to people, and as we call it, networking. Because networking can happen at any time. When two people meet, that's when networking really begins. That's when the opportunity, the spark is generated at that moment. And the first thing that happens in the thing is not networking. It's a very simple statement. Do I subconsciously trust this person I'm in front of? So the issue of trust jumps out immediately, and it's not from anything we have overtly said or done. It's that vibe that we all give off. This person, I like this person. Haven't got a clue why, but, I enjoyed the conversation. I want to carry it on farther. I want to know more. So when we look at this networking scenario that we talk about and we all practice through chambers and leads groups and socials and parties and birthday parties with our kids. It doesn't matter where it is. I would say you can even do it in the grocery line. You know how many people I've met in a grocery line? You're the master of the grocery line. Or sitting on the bleachers at a sporting event way back when. It's just having, when two like-minded individuals start talking and they start just relating with each other, they start having that conversation, and you never know where that can lead to. Even if you're, even for individuals that are not working and you're maybe a volunteer at the school that your children are going to, and you want to feel more comfortable going there. I remember so many times meeting